My name is Catherine Jones, and thank you so much for joining us for another day of the Texas 4000 2020 virtual ride. This morning, before we start, we're going to begin with ride dedications. And as you may know by now, this is something that we do before each ride. This is a time where we honor the people we ride for, in honor of, in our memory of, and allow us to connect closer to the mission. We invite the community to join in and share those who they ride for as well. So without further ado, we're going to show you the ride dedication video so you can get a better sense of what ride dedications are and what they mean to us.
Texas 4000 is the largest annual charity bike ride that takes place every summer from Austin to Anchorage, Alaska, with the purpose of spreading our mission of hope, knowledge, and charity in the fight against cancer. A ride dedication is a way that we start a lot of our meetings or a lot of our rides. This is when we dedicate a ride or a part of our ride to somebody who has been in some way affected by cancer.
A ride dedication is motivation to me because when I'm going up a steep hill or it's been a really long ride. The ride dedications that I hear from my teammates and myself are the reasons that I keep riding.
Due to the current circumstances surrounding COVID-19, it's no longer safe for us to do our typical bicycle ride from Austin, Texas to Anchorage, Alaska. So instead, we've decided to do things virtually this summer.
So we will be having our cycling events virtually. We will be engaging with our community virtually.
A virtual ride dedication works largely the same way as a normal ride dedication. Before every meeting or before every virtual ride, you would say, I ride for this person. And if you want to, you can go into a little bit more detail about how that person touched your life.
You can submit your ride dedications via 3 different platforms. You can submit a ride dedication via the Texas 4000 webpage. You can join our Facebook live stream, or you can join our Zoom calls.
The virtual ride will be going on from May 29th to June 26th, and ride dads will be held before host interactions in the afternoon and at 7:30 to 8 a.m. Central Time every morning.
Thank you so much for participating.
Join us at texas4000.org. Together we can make a difference.
All right, so now I'm going to introduce the 2 other people who will be on here today with me during Ride Deads. So we have Lindsay Leach and Claire Bills. If you guys want to introduce yourselves and say a little bit about who you are before we start Ride Deads.
Yeah, hey, I'm Lindsay Leach. I just graduated from the University of Texas and obviously an Ozarks 2020 rider. Excited to be here this morning. Sad to kind of see it end though.
Yeah, I'm Claire. I'm a rising senior at UT, journalism major, and also on the Ozarks route. I think that was thunder outside.
Yeah, it's really loud here, so let me know if I'm picking up a lot of rain and lightning. I did not expect this morning. So I guess this is one of those times where you're like, good thing we're indoors.
Totally.
So if anyone has any ride deads they want to share, please comment them in the Facebook comments and we will read them out for you. Do you guys have any ride deads you want to specifically share today?
Yeah, I do. Today I'm riding for my friend Megan Kostolansky, especially just with Father's Day. Have been this weekend. I definitely think about my friends who've lost their fathers to cancer. Megan's one of the people I've been riding for since day one, like in my Y ride, in applying to this organization. She lost her father to pancreatic cancer a few years back while she was in college. And so just really thinking about her today and writing for her.
I have one as well. There's a little boy from my hometown named Logan who battled brain cancer when he was only a few months old. And I hadn't heard much about him recently, so I sort of took to Facebook and just looked for an update the other day. And I knew that he was in remission for a couple of years, but I just, every now and then, I just want to check and see how he's doing. And on June 8th, he celebrated his 3rd year of remission. So just really happy for him and his family.
Oh, congrats.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say today, one of the people I'm writing for, it's not cancer related, but this Saturday will be 1 year since one of our family friends passed away from a really long battle with a 12-year battle on autoimmune disease. It's really rare, and it was just a hard battle. So thinking of their family right now and everything they've gone through, so and how this will be or Saturday will be a really tough day. Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for sharing that. We'll definitely be writing for Eric, and that's awesome that he was able to get his first IV treatment yesterday, especially with everything going on. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely been thinking of everyone who is starting their treatments during this season. I know that they're limiting the number of visitors and things. Oh, that's my dad. My dad. That they're limiting the number of visitors who can be with cancer patients. And so I'm just thinking about all those people today that are going through something really scary and then having to go through it alone.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hi, Sarah. We'll also ride for your Aunt Kate, that she beats breast cancer. Stop it. My dog is very scared of lightning. She's on my lap, just like
our fourth host. How have you found? Oh, sorry, you can go.
I also just have one more. It's not cancer related, but a close family friend of mine, my neighbor growing up, passed away in a car accident when he was a sophomore in college, and that was back in 2015. So we're coming up on the 5th year of that, of his death, but also his birthday's coming up this weekend as well. And it was just one of the original reasons why I joined Texas 4000, because he was a very happy-go-lucky person who just always did crazy things, like join organizations like Texas 4000, and the mantra that they sort of left in his honor was to chase life. And so that was something that I thought of the whole time that I was applying for Texas 4000. So just thinking about Chase and the Gage family a lot right now.
Hey, Dad. We'll definitely ride for Gunner and Sally. I'm sorry to hear that.
Hey, Sia. We were definitely going to ride for Sylvia and your friend Mark's grandmother Flora today. Something else I ride for, again, not necessarily cancer related, but something that's been on my mind a lot is just keeping hope through hard times. That's something I've been dealing with some health stuff. And some days your body just isn't going to do what you want to do, and it's going to be hard. And I think about that a lot, how hope is sometimes the only thing keeping you up and getting you going. So just writing for that just pillar of life that permeates through everything we do.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I've been thinking a lot about kind of how Texas 4000 has tried to adapt the summer ride, and how like that kind of reflects COVID in general, but like in trying to make the most out of a bad situation, but also a cancer diagnosis or something like that. Like it kind of comes out of nowhere. It's totally unexpected generally. But then like how do you respond amid, hardship and trial, and, do you let hope win out? Do you keep trying, kind of don't let the bad thing completely like take over. So I'm very thankful that T4K didn't just cancel completely. When that would have been like the easiest thing to do, but we tried to find a way to make it work.
Definitely.
Yes, we'll be riding for Joanna. Like we said earlier, especially amid COVID, definitely thinking of all the people receiving treatment.
Hi, Christy. We'll definitely be riding for Lloyd.
Yeah.
And yeah, thinking, like Lindsay already said this, but thinking about everybody who may have lost a father to cancer, especially right now.
It's a hard day.
And for the fathers who lost children.
Yes.
Celebrating Father's Day. Do you guys want to share kind of what Ride Dads mean to you? I don't know if you have any special connection to them, or just if they hold a special importance to you, or if it's just like a general appreciation towards them. Sorry, that's very vague. The thunder's distracting me.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. I am so lucky that cancer hasn't really been very prevalent on either sides of my family. And so when I originally joined, it was for a couple of friends from my hometown, like I mentioned, Chase, but then also a close friend named Hayden, who battled leukemia. And so although I knew Hayden well and his mom well, I didn't see much of his battle, obviously. And so for me, Ride Dads were just something that constantly kept me fueled. If I didn't feel, I mean, every day I got on the bike and I was thinking of the people that I originally joined for, but it's amazing that, the next day you have a whole nother list of people to be riding for and thinking of. And so I just was reminding myself of those people's strength and trying to ride in their honor every time. I mean, I think that's the case for most of us, but so I don't know if that's what you wanted, but that's how it is for me, I guess.
I think for me, I really appreciate ride dedications because they normalize like discussing some of the hard things in life. I mean, obviously they are a positive thing because they kind of spur us to continue, but it's also a chance to share when, you have like a big life update. And I think that's kind of rare. I don't think in a lot of organizations we necessarily give space to talk about the bad. So I kind of appreciate that Texas 4000 allows you to be like raw and real. I really appreciated that.
Totally. I feel like it's taught us all so much about vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
It literally is like getting power from vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are vulnerable, so then it gives me more motivation to like get on my bike and do something hard. So it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. It's the stuff you don't talk about probably in a normal conversation, but it's creating that space to say the things that have been on your mind and just the people that you maybe are consciously thinking about or subconsciously thinking about that impact your daily activities, and just doing everything, like doing the hard stuff, doing a ride for them, and knowing that what you're going through in those few hours is nothing compared to what they're going through, and just the pain and then the strength that they show. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to share that with your teammates and then right now with everyone. Don't forget to send your ride deads in the comment section.
Do you have any ride dead moments that stuck out to you during our ride year?
I think anytime one of our teammates shared that their parents or someone in their life had been recently diagnosed, those moments were really hard for the entire team, just to see how that person is actively sort of processing that information. So I'm thinking of Bryn in particular right now, when she shared that her father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. That was a really tough moment for her, and I think we all felt just closer in the room by being there. Also thinking of Paige, whose father just got diagnosed with skin cancer. Although we heard that virtually, it still makes an impact, and thinking of them a lot.
Yeah, I'd say the same for me. I mean, all ride deads are hard for me in a way because I'm probably more on the emotional side. So like hearing them, it connects me, but also I cry a lot. But hearing stuff about teammates and their direct families really impacts you because, again, it's not something you see from someone's social media presence or just their daily life. But when they share that small portion of their life with you, it's pretty impactful and hard to see, but also inspiring to see how they're working through life right now. What about you, Lindsay?
Sorry, the thunder here is very aggressive. Yeah, definitely those moments. I also appreciate the moments where we get to like celebrate with our teammates. So yeah, some of the ride dedications that are, anniversaries of people's remissions or things like that are really exciting. But yeah, I definitely think about like the people who obviously go through the anniversaries of deaths, like some of our teammates who've lost their parents, thinking of like Alex or David. Yeah, it's just always impactful to hear those. And
Sorry, I keep muting myself. The thunder is really bad here. Let's see. Another thing we do kind of related to ride deads is a lot of people on the team do Y rides. And that's another cool way for our team to get to know about each other and the reasons why they ride. It's like basically a story about them and their intro, why they were joined or why they felt they wanted to join Texas 4000. That's honestly one of the biggest, my favorite parts of the organization is hearing people's story and like what caused them to ride and just their ride deads overall. So I don't know how you guys felt about those, but like if you're on the same page where it's pretty cool to see how people's life stories are different, but just kind of intersect through cancer.
Yeah, Y rides were great because they were a really clear example of how multifaceted cancer is and how differently it can affect people's lives, no matter how small or big. And it really just helped us all feel really connected to our teammates, I think, after hearing their stories. Lindsay, after hearing your Why I Ride, I was constantly thinking about you and your family.
Thanks.
I know, yeah. And so there's a lot that stick out. But I don't know, that's just another one of those things that brings us closer.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, my dad just had another round of scans and he came back again all clear, which yeah, it's always exciting. It's always nerve wracking anytime he goes into MD Anderson, even though it's been 4 years, but it just yeah, I guess when it gets really bad, you kind of it's like whiplash or I don't know, shell shocked or something. It's like every time he comes back all clear, I'm like, okay. Just as surprising as the first time for some reason.
That's amazing. Congrats, Mr. Leach.
Yeah, I really think about Brian. I feel like I've shared this before, but I remember when Brian was talking about the original person that he joined Texas 4000 for, which was his football coach in high school. Who was, I think, like a mentor to him. And when he passed away during was it fall semester or spring semester?
I think it was in the spring, early spring, or maybe late fall.
With COVID, it's just like time is not real. But yeah, so when he shared with us like that his mentor and football coach had passed away, that was really hard. But also, one of those like amazing moments where you get to see the community like rise up and celebrate him and all the ways that they honored his memory was definitely hopeful. There's a lot of hope in it, but yeah, that I think about that one very often.
Right now I'm thinking about Maddie Lewis is one of our teammates whose mother passed away from cancer when she was young. And when she shared about her father announcing that he's going to get remarried, that was a really big one that stuck in my head because I knew how hard that must be for them and their family, and the fact that he was able to find someone else and find happiness was really cool. And so just thinking a lot about their family always. But
for sure, I think they just had their wedding, right? It's funny how COVID impacts weddings and stuff. But
sorry, my cat's messing with my computer. I think for me, one of the big ones that's just really stuck with me throughout everything is always writing for Colin and his family. He's one of the teammates on our route. His mom recently passed away. And it's just been following their family throughout all of this. I know their journey's extended several years before this, but watching it has been really hard and impactful. And watching Colin and his family show strength and grace has been very, very empowering to see. And just hearing updates has been, I know I can't even imagine how hard it was to share updates, but the fact that he trusted our team and was very vulnerable with us about his mom and also his nephew who was undergoing surgeries as a newborn was just very impactful for me, and always thinking about their family.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you, Kim. Yes,
I love how present Austin's family has been.
They really are. Yeah, Austin and Tony's family, I feel like. Oh, and Sia's.
Yeah.
It's like always on. It's great.
Mhm.
I think, Catherine, yeah, that was when the ride got canceled. There were like a few key people that like I thought about. Where obviously I was sad for myself and everything that like individually I'd put into Texas 4000, but there were people like Colin, like Tony, who I was like more heartbroken for them because they'd like shared so much and shared how much Texas 4000 had become a part of their like cancer story, and especially with Colin, like his parents being so involved with Texas 4000 prior to his own involvement, that I was just heartbroken for him. And I was so looking forward to being in Minneapolis and his family. I was working on the travel committee, and Minneapolis was the city I was assigned to. And so I had gotten to kind of communicate with Colin a little bit, and like all the things that his family had planned for us. Like, it was just so sweet. They were so excited for us to be there. And they were like, oh, we're planning to rent a boat to get your team out on the lake on your rest day. And like, we just want to celebrate you and have a big like bonfire barbecue, like barbecue kind of thing when we got in. And they were just going above and beyond what it means to be a host for Texas 4000. And so I was just selfishly sad, but also just really sad for his family. Virginia, Ozarks now is supposed to go this year. We were supposed to go the furthest east we'd ever been. So, maybe 2021 will just keep that going.
You can make it happen.
Might as well go all the way to the coast, right?
Yeah. All the way to Virginia. Mm-hmm. What city were y'all really looking forward to on the ride?
So many. Well, we've been talking a lot about Paducah in Kentucky, in Western Kentucky, and that is I believe, a small town that just always goes above and beyond for us when we're there. And we recently got to Zoom with the hosts that we would have had. And so I didn't even know it, but now after meeting them, I'm thinking a lot about that stop and how impactful that would be.
Yeah, the things they said about like the art community, and it just sounds like a really interesting community they have going, or the way that they use art to help. Was it like in the hospital or something? Like cancer patients have the chance to,
I think so,
express like their emotions through art or something. I don't know. It was really cool when we were talking to Baptist Health. I was like, this is really interesting. Like, yeah, it is. I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of hard to talk to hosts. Like, it's obviously sweet, but it's also like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish we could be there.
Let's see. I was really looking forward to Mobile because I have a lot of family there have basically been like I view them more as my grandparents since my grandparents passed away. And then also day 60. Again, I don't know why, but I was just very looking forward to day 60, like where we all rejoined together as 3 routes and back into one. That was just a big day I was looking forward to. So I think that was one of the biggest losses, like in terms of days for me.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Totally. Yeah, because Texas 4000 is something where we're all one big team until we leave for the summer, and then we're split pretty significantly for most of the summer. And so I think we all were looking forward to the day where we get to converge and share those stories. But,
yeah. Thank you, Ellen, by the way. Ellen just posted something about, it is strange to think that this is our last Tuesday doing this. I don't really know what my summer's going to look like without this virtual ride. It's definitely different, but it still has been a commitment that has been shaping at least the first half of my summer. And
I think a lot of us are like that right now. I don't even know what next week will be like for me.
Yeah.
Today we would have been today's day 25, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, I think, hold on, I have a calendar where we would be. Before we sign off, let's see where we would be today. We would have been in Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah, I was going to say somewhere close to Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to Chicago. I have family and friends there. I was really something about the idea of like Ozarks is like cornfield, and then like Chicago just like jutting out of like Lake Michigan. Just imagining that in my head, like when you first see the skyline like on the horizon, was just one of those like I was excited.
My sister lives in Chicago and my family's from Columbus, so that's only like a 7-hour drive. So we kind of have this tradition of going to visit her after she's exhausted her vacation days for Christmas, and then we'll like follow her home to have an excuse to be in Chicago. And I like when we drove up that time, I was just thinking about how we get to bike up to the city. And the whole time we were driving there, I was just thinking about how this summer it would be on a bike. But so I was looking forward to Chicago too.
It hurts. Like it hurts. Oh. Well, Catherine, we have to pause.
Yeah, we're going to switch over to the cycling portion. We'll be back in just a few minutes just so we can get set up on our own bikes. But we will see you back in a second with Sarah Kettles, who's a alumni. So we'll be back in a second. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to Texas 4000 for Cancer's 2020 Summer Ride Cycling Broadcast presented by Abbott. My name is Sarah Kettles. I'm a board member with Texas 4000, but I'm also an alumni, and I rode with the 2013 Rockies route. And I'm your host this morning. I'm really excited to be here along with riders from the Ozarks route. And for those of you who don't know, or maybe you're joining us for the first time this morning, Texas 4000 for Cancer is a nonprofit organization that cultivates student leaders and engages communities in the fight against cancer. The organization's cornerstone event is an annual 4,000-mile bike ride from Austin, Texas to Anchorage, Alaska. The 78 members of the 2020 team had been preparing and training for their life-altering cross-country summer bike ride for 18 months. And due to COVID-19, they were forced to make the heartbreaking decision to cancel the 2020 ride to Alaska. The pandemic may have brought our world to a standstill, but cancer goes on and the ride must go on virtually. For the month of June, and we're in our last week right now, this team is riding to Alaska virtually. And I've been really inspired by every member of the 2020 team. They've shown tremendous courage and creativity throughout this entire month and really this last few months since the pandemic hit. I'm here to MC today's broadcast, and I'm really excited to be here with some riders from the Ozarks route. So please post your comments and questions, and I'll relay them to the riders as we go along. But I'm really excited to introduce you to the riders who are here with us this morning. Hey, Catherine.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Lindsay. Hi, Claire.
Good morning.
How are y'all this morning?
Yeah, good. Still waking up.
It's early. It's stormy in Austin.
Yeah, it's a good gloomy morning.
I watched the ride dedication broadcast, and I know we were all a little bit surprised by the weather this morning for sure.
Yes.
On the ride dedication broadcast, you all were sharing that this is the last week of the ride. It's kind of crazy. This month has already gone by. It's been a fast month. And usually the last week of anything, you're kind of thinking back on your memories with the people you've been with. And I'm just curious, like the last week of your virtual ride, how are you feeling about your team? Tell me a little bit about what the 2020 team has meant to you personally in this last year, 18 months, really. Claire, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I don't know if I can put into words how much this team means to me, but I have just been so proud of us for the way that we've turned around and refocused our energy and did what we could while we knew it was safe to be home instead of riding. I'm thinking a lot this week about the programs team, which I was involved in before the ride had been canceled, but afterwards it was something that I got very involved in, and I'm just really proud of the work that we've done. We put on a couple events to talk about issues and just discuss how cancer can affect people's lives. So we had an event where we pushed for registry for Be the Match, a bone marrow organization, and that was really successful and really cool to be able to hear from people who have experienced bone and blood cancers and have seen how helpful the registry can be. And we just had an event about, it's called Affording Access, how just sort of the financial toll that cancer can take on a person and how to combat that. And then this Thursday, we're talking about cancer specifically while in midst of COVID. And so I'm just really proud of how the programs team shifted when the ride was canceled and decided, okay, fine, we'll do things virtually. And so we're still able to engage our audiences, and just proud of everyone who stepped up and did what they could with what we have this summer.
Yeah, I've really, oh my goodness. I don't know if y'all can hear that thunder right now. I've really enjoyed the conversations that you all have had with some of the organizations that you were just sharing. And it is really such a unique thing that the 2020 team and specifically the program team has done. How has program looked in years past? Like, what were you all preparing for in terms of as a program team for this summer ride before decided virtually?
So in years past, typically programs works with travel, and we sort of just assess city by city how we can best engage with that community. And so a lot of times it means just giving the programs to the hosts that we're staying with to share with them why we're riding and sort of just connect our mission with some faces. And so those programs are a lot more emotional and personal. But then also in certain communities where there might not be as much information about cancer prevention, we give programs to groups about cancer prevention in all different forms. And so it sort of depends city by city what we can do and where we can best put our efforts. But whether it be a more personal story that we're sharing or something more factual that could help a person, prevent cancer by wearing sunscreen or not smoking, it was always, something I really looked forward to doing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, Claire. Catherine, let's move to you. Tell me a little bit about what the 2020 team has meant to you these last 18 months. And
I'm going to start by apologizing for my cats. You probably hear the background. To be a nuisance in the morning, so I'm sorry if you hear them or see them. So kind of like what Claire said, I feel like I can't even put into words or describe how much the organization and specifically our team has meant to me over the past almost year and a half, and I can't even believe it's been that long since we've really started to get to know each other. These people are the best people I've ever met in my life, and I can't even imagine my life without them right now. I am constantly inspired by how strong they are, their tenacity, just their inspirations and goals for life, and they inspire me to be a better person, to be a better teammate, a writer, and just my life has completely changed because of this team. So while this ride isn't, how we expect it to go, I think this is just another example of how, life doesn't go the way you want it to ever. I think that's just a rule of life. And so we have a good team of people who are just willing to make whatever can happen. And we did, we put on a virtual ride with staff and did the impossible and still managed to spread our mission of hope, knowledge, and charity across the United States, North America, even though there's a pandemic going on and the world is completely different. But, we're just adapting to life, and our team is the best example of this. And again, sorry, words aren't coming out clear right now, but this team is just so important to me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Catherine. I think it's truly what you all have done this month is a testament to who you are as a team for sure. Lindsay, what about you? Tell me a little bit about what the 2020 team has meant.
Just even hearing Catherine and Claire talk about it, it's hard to think about that this is ending, because it doesn't quite feel like it started, like the summer ride itself. With everything going on, it feels a little bit cut off. So trying to reflect back and think about it, I guess I'm not quite ready to, accept that it's coming to a conclusion. Because I think one of the harder things about losing the summer ride was thinking about all the deep, bonds of friendship that are formed through that 70-day cross country. It's something really hard, and so that usually forms really lasting friendships. Not that we don't have lasting friendships as is. I am very thankful for my team in the way that we bonded over volunteering events and Monday night meetings that lasted 3 hours. All of the hard things that Texas 4000 is in all the months leading up to the ride. It's just hard to think about not getting to experience the ride side by side with people. I definitely had images in my head of just what that would look like. We had already gotten our tent stuff, and just thinking about the girls that I was going to share a tent with all summer, and I'm just sad about it kind of right now, because this team, it really does mean the world to me. And like Catherine said, each person is just so inspiring. I was just talking to Alex Miller the other day just about how much her commitment to this organization has been, and that it hasn't gone unnoticed. Just the way that she lights up whenever she talks about cancer facts. She's kind of our go-to. Hey Alex, what is immunotherapy? Hey Alex, what are T cells? Hey Alex, incredibly intelligent, but she's also so passionate. She's the type of person that you hope your kid grows up to be, because she's just I can't believe that I get to do this. I can't believe that I'm going to get to work and do research and study this, and so I just think about her and just the way that my teammates have inspired me. Makes me very emotional.
Even when I was thinking about asking the question, it made me emotional thinking about my team. So, all the feels this morning, totally okay. I do want to thank David Turner for his ride dedication that came in while we were sharing. Said Ozarks getting an early start, riding with purpose this morning, that is for sure. We'll definitely ride for your father as well. Thank you for the ride dedication. Thank you, Rain, for the really nice words. Hook 'em. I know we have a few riders from Ozarks joining us on Zoom this morning. Let's see who's hanging out with us. Claire, or I guess any of y'all, will y'all share who's riding with us this morning, and maybe a fun story if you have one riding or working with them throughout these last 18 months?
Yeah, that looks like Austin, Colin, and Thea.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Okay, Sia, Sia again is one of those people where you're like, I can't believe this happened this year, because Sia has been a member of Texas 4000 for like so long. I think it's been 4 years, because she was accepted to the 2017 team. Does anyone know?
20. So she was accepted in the fall of 2017, I believe.
For the 2018 team?
To ride in 2018, and then she deferred to ride in 2019, and then deferred to ride in 2020.
This girl's been so committed. She's, and I guess for the 2018 team, she trained all the way up to the ride starting, and then broke her wrist, I want to say, right?
Poor Thea's listening to us share her story.
Yeah, she just. Oh, that girl is committed. So I'm very sad for her that she didn't get her summer.
Yeah, working hard on the bike this morning, though, I can see.
She's been committed to this virtual ride, hosted several times. Her family's been very involved. It's really sweet, constantly commenting and cheering her on. So she's making
that. What about Austin or Colin? Any fun stories riding or working with them?
Well, we've spoken a lot about Colin already this morning. And
yeah.
We're just all thinking about him and his family right now, as his mom recently passed away, and she was really involved with our entire journey. So I just feel so lucky that Colin felt as if he could share those things with us and involve us in his journey, which I know was hard. So just always riding for Colin. I was really looking forward to being on the summer ride with him, because he was our only grad student this year. So he's a bit older than us, and I was excited about having, a voice that might be a bit more mature than the rest of us to sort of, keep us together. I don't know, Colin just is the best, and it was really cool being a part of the team with him.
Yeah. Colin's one of the people you're proud to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Austin too. He recently shaved his head for our event Without Cancer, which was so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got it's growing back pretty good there.
It had four long hair, I remember some mornings it'd be so long, I'd be like, should we braid your hair? All the girls are getting braids. If you want, but he cut it off, and he was so joyful doing it. It was really cool to see. I think his mom was helping him, right?
Yeah, which is so sweet.
Ponytails, I guess his hair is so thick, but he got to donate it, which is really cool.
That's awesome. So awesome. Well, they look great this morning, looking like they're having a good workout on this stormy morning. So we've talked a little bit about kind of the, this ride coming to an end, and I'm curious, what's something that the three of you are going to take away from this experience, training and raising money and volunteering? I know that there's a whole leadership development program that's also part of this experience for your entire team. So Claire, let's start with you. What's something that you're going to take away from this experience?
I don't know if I quite, again, I don't know if I quite have words for this yet. But I mean, certainly the leadership aspect of things, I've learned so much about just how to lead with grace and maturity, and that's been demonstrated by so many of our teammates that I'm inspired by. But I think the main thing I'll take away is just how important it is to share stories, even the difficult ones, because you never know how something might impact another person. the smallest, or the seemingly smallest of ride dedications are the ones that stuck with me, as well as the big ones. And so I'm just thinking a lot about what those stories mean and how they can impact us and why they're so important to this fight against cancer. So I'm grateful that we got to learn so much about vulnerability and just story sharing.
Yeah, one of you mentioned during ride dedications that it's Texas 4000 normalizes talking about the hard stuff, and I think I definitely hear that reflected in you sharing about vulnerability for sure.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Lindsay, actually, let's go to Kim. She says, hello, with a big hug for Austin. So proud of your work and heartfelt dedication in honor of my father. You are all a hero in my heart. Thank you so much, Kim. Lindsay, what's something that you're going to take away from, this entire 18-month experience?
I think, let me ask that question. This definitely makes me think about that, like, it was never just about the summer ride as kind of the, like, idea that's, I guess, been going through my head throughout this virtual ride, like, that was never the only thing that mattered, I guess. There's a lot that we do leading up to that was really important. But without the summer ride, I guess my time in Texas 4000 does feel a little bit unfinished. If that may sound negative, I think it can be used for a really positive thing. Like, I think the 2020 team will be very engaged alumni because we're kind of like still wanting that fix. It just reminds me, like, the fight against cancer is never done. It wasn't going to be finished when we got to Alaska. And so I do think this will be like a very pivotal moment for me in my life, and being engaged with the fight against cancer far beyond college and Texas 4000. But I think that's what I'll take away, is that this is a big fight, and I'm in it for life, not just these 18 months.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you described it as feeling like something that's unfinished. Is there anything in your mind that you want to take on or tackle after this experience that's coming to mind?
I wish I knew like what was next for me. And definitely we have this kind of, your team I'm sure has it too, of like forever chasing my next Alaska, or people talk about that, like, what's your next Alaska?
Yeah.
So I don't have it yet, but yeah, definitely thinking about that.
Yeah. David says, what a great example of Longhorn resilience on display for the whole world to see. Could not agree more. Thanks, David. Yeah, you all are right. Chasing your next Alaska is definitely a thing among alumni for sure. And there's, infinite number of ways that you can create your next Alaska. So I'm excited to see what that's going to be for the 2020 team, for each of you as you go forth and figure that out. But I think you're right, Lindsay. It's sort of, that something's coming, but it's kind of an exciting place to be when you don't know what it is yet. So.
If anything, COVID and this experience has taught me that, like, you can't plan for everything. Life is super unexpected, and so you have to, hold on tight to some things, but also be willing to change and be flexible and adaptable. And I think Texas 4000 has shown strength and adaptability for sure.
Yeah, could not agree more. That was a great reminder. If you have any questions or ride dedication you'd like to share with us, please post in the comments on Facebook, and I'd be happy to relay to our riders here. Catherine, first of all, I have to know the name of your cat. I have 2 cats myself, and I love hearing the meows.
Here's the thing. I have a lot of cats. The ones you probably hear right now are Chloe and Yzma. Yeah, I have a lot of cats. They're great. They're semi-hairless. But they're nuisance in the morning, so they just are running around right now trying to get attention, and I'm not giving that to them, so they're a little angry. I guess one of the biggest things I've learned, though, is just appreciating the small moments in life and not taking them for granted. Even before all of this happened, I started to see myself
think we might be having some technical difficulties with Catherine's feed. Tammy says, keep it up, you make a difference. So true. We'll get back to Catherine in just a second, but Ellen said, Ellen has a ride dedication for us. She said, please ride for Austin's great aunt, Etta Turner Love, who passed away in 1998. She so wanted to see the new century and fought cancer with humor and hope. Thank you so much for that ride dedication, Ellen. We'll be riding for Etta for sure. We've got you back, Catherine.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi is bad with the storms.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, so just before all of this happened, I was really starting to realize that it's the small moments that truly do make up life that are the important parts. And so like one of the biggest examples I use is that I've never regretted a ride I've been on. Sometimes it's really hard to get going on a ride in the morning when it's freezing cold or raining. You just, it's 6 a.m. You really don't want to be up. I'm not a morning person. But then you finish the ride and the joy you get with being with other people is far greater than any discomfort you've ever faced on that ride. And I'm trying to really incorporate that in my life and take these small moments that seem insignificant at the time, but then I'm now looking back at them and wishing I could have spent more time at Monday meetings and been in more meetings overall during the week just so I could see my friends and teammates another time in person before we all split off our ways. And we're all heading off different paths in life, but we're all still joined by this one core thing that has really shaped us for the last year and a half. So that's been a big thing that I've taken away from all of this.
You're absolutely right. Texas 4000 is a bond that ties us all together for forever. So Tammy has a ride dedication for us. She says, please ride in honor of Lloyd Burleson, my husband's grandfather who passed away from lung cancer. We'll definitely be riding for Lloyd. Tammy, thank you so much. Catherine, you really bring up an interesting point. The ride itself is the cornerstone event for Texas 4000, but it's also a metaphor for the fight against cancer. And I know that I experienced several of those moments. You mentioned sort of riding when it's cold or when it's rainy. I mean, many cyclists, you have the option to choose if you want to go out in bad weather. And on Texas 4000, when you are riding, you do not have a choice. It's like bad weather, you got to push through it. And I can remember ride days for me training in on the ride when it was cold, when it was rainy and stormy, where I thought, this is hard. I don't really want to be out here today. But, people with cancer don't have a choice whether or not they want to fight today. They just have to. Those are really powerful experiences for me. And I'm curious, Lindsay, maybe we can start with you. If there's a ride that you've experienced with your teammates that really felt like it was a metaphor for the fight against cancer.
I am not a morning person, so one ride where I was like, oh, I don't want to do this right now. But yeah, as our rides got longer and harder, and especially I'm thinking like Dam Loop plus Lime Creek, that stands out to me where it's just hard. But kind of like Catherine said, and where maybe the metaphor breaks down a little bit is I've never regretted a single ride. And once I'm on the bike, I enjoy it, even if it's a really hard ride. So yeah, to say that there's any ride that mirrors the fight against cancer itself, it is hard. I can't pick one because each one has actually been pretty enjoyable. Even once I got injured a few times, because I wouldn't say I'm the best biker, but even those ones, just seeing my teammates really scared for me when I got injured. It's just maybe that's a good metaphor about the importance of community and how they can take a scary moment and really make you feel comforted and make you feel loved and cared for.
Yeah, your team can really help you pull through in those hard moments for sure. We have another ride dedication from Patience. She said, please ride for my dear friend Rhonda. She's a 5-year ovarian cancer survivor and inspires thousands of people with her messages of hope and love. She has ridden along with the last 2 Ozarks teams. I love that. We'll be riding for Rhonda. Jody says, y'all are such role models for commitment and character. Thank you. Could not agree more.
Thank you.
We're getting lots of love this morning. I love it. Paige says, 3 beautiful, strong, inspiring women. Love you 3. You know, this is my second broadcast with an all-women crew, and I love it.
Ooh, I've had some amazing, we call them like, we'll be like, oh, babe caves, so meat caves. Or like, and I've had some really, like, I think Texas 4000, for a male-dominated sport that is cycling, it's very interesting how Texas 4000 can be pretty girl-heavy, and it's yeah, it's really fun to see all these like very strong women and get to know them.
Yeah. We have another ride dedication from Kim. She says, this is Pancreatic Cancer Advocacy Month. So I'm asking if you would please ride in honor of my father, G. Lloyd Knight, and for all families who have lost loved ones due to this cancer. Thank you very much. You're the absolute best. Thank you so much, Kim. We'll definitely be riding for your father and keeping Pancreatic Cancer Advocacy Month in mind. Thank you.
Yeah. The person I've written on my leg right now, Megan, she lost her father to pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, pancreatic cancer is it is an awful, awful version of cancer. That is for sure. Camille has a note for us. She says, "Thank you, Ozarks 2020, for riding. Please ride for Father David and cousin Dickie, 2 men of my family we've lost to cancer in the last month."
Oh,
thank you so much, Camille.
So sorry to hear that.
I'll be riding for you. Rhonda says, "I'm so blessed that you're taking me on a terrific ride."
Oh.
Love it.
I've been hoping that people are actually riding with us. Like, I know that Sense Corp, they did. Like, some of the people from Sense Corp were like on their bikes on our Zoom, and that was really cool to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Trainer rides are, man, they can be a workout. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's no stopping.
There's no thing, the hill doesn't crest unless you let up on the resistance.
Oh yeah, like I have to, but I also try to stand up sometimes because my seat just like, these are not comfortable.
That's actually the good point about the seat. Like, you really do, training for this ride, you build up a tolerance to sitting in that bike seat for several hours on end. What were your first rides like? I can remember training camp. I was not a fan. Claire, how's it been for you?
Yeah, I've grown up biking, and I did a few like shorter rides actually for cancer as well in my hometown. But the longest one I ever did was 50 miles, and I had never clipped in before Texas 4000. So I was pretty comfortable on the bike, but like on that first week when we only had to do like, a mile loop once everybody was comfortable. But definitely when we first started riding, it took me a really long time to get comfortable on the bike and just, I don't know, not be afraid of falling. I think once I fell for the first time, then I felt a lot better about falling again. But that first day was amazing, just to see our teammates come from so many different levels of experience, some of whom had never ridden any sort of bike at all. And it was so cool to be there with alumni who were so gracious in helping us learn how to clip in and what to do. So yeah, I don't know, it was a really, the training, or not training camp, the skills clinics were awesome.
Yes. I really liked training camp. It was our first, I think we upped it from like a 12-mile ride to like a 30-mile ride, which is a pretty significant jump, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say once I'm not a big biker prior to this. Like for tours around like Europe, like, you take a biking tour because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's the extent of my biking ability. And so my mom had warned me. She was like, I spent a couple weeks biking around Ireland, like, just fair warning, like, it's going to get pretty difficult. And I was like, nah, no, it's fine. And then after that first 30-mile ride, I could barely walk. I was like, this is so much pain. My sit bones were they were not prepared. And then they told us about saddle sores, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, there's a whole host of new things you have to learn about when you learn how to cycle. That is for sure. I And it's so interesting to me that you both have had some cycling experience. And Catherine, I'm excited to learn about, what experience you had or didn't have before getting on the bike. But when I first got into the organization, I applied, got in, and then told my parents about it. And my dad politely reminded me of the bike that is still hanging in my parents' garage that I never used, and was, confused and interested to see how I was going to take that one on. Catherine, what's your experience been like learning how to cycle? And we actually do have a question in the chat about how we convert our bikes to ride indoors. So if you could share a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so I can start with Tammy's question. So we have this thing called a trainer, which it props the back wheel of your bike up, so that your back wheel is the only thing moving, but your bike's in place. And you just basically put in like this little axle through the back wheel instead of your regular axle, and then you like adjust the tension how you want it, and you get going. It's a lot easier than I thought it was. I was kind of scared of them at the beginning, but they're really safe, unless you don't screw it in tightly, which I found out last night, and I took out my trainers, but we're all good. It's a slow tip. And then
you have Paige falling off of her trainer.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I showed the whole family and they were like dying. Paige, who's I think probably watching, she's like riding at like 3 a.m., and then she just goes like bam, and like completely falls off because I guess that axle like kind of like slipped or something. And
So funny.
So funny.
Yeah, I have to make sure that the tension's right too, or it could go bad, but overall very safe and
yes,
pretty nice.
And riding like 15 miles an hour on a road and then falling. And
Yeah. And then, so for my biking experience, actually, I'd say my biking experience is probably similar to most people where, I know how to ride a bike. I grew up biking a little bit, but, I wasn't a biker per se, and mainly I danced growing up and really switched into running a few years ago. So when I applied to this, my parents were like, "Ooh, are you sure you're ready for this? I mean, you're not a biker," and they love biking. So it's been kind of a cool experience to share with them, and getting out during the summer now and riding with them has been fun, and seeing how much I've grown over just the past year in biking wise, because I know I was really scared to start biking last fall and was not good at it. The first ride was horrible for me.
No.
I finished it, and I think I took a 7-hour nap.
Yes.
Ate like 4 full-size cupcakes, and I was like, "No, this is cycling." Like, and now, we're doing high mileage, and it's not as bad. So it's a process, but once you learn to love it, it's really great.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's go ahead and check in on our riders who are on Zoom. And I think I maybe interrupted Lindsay. I'm sorry about that, Lindsay. Were you saying something?
Oh, me? Oh, I was saying Catherine's underselling herself. When she said she got into running, she like runs marathons now.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's fun though.
Is your I'm somebody who's made my next Alaska lots of physical endurance events after the ride. Is that going to be you, Catherine?
Yes. So weirdly enough, I guess I haven't really told anyone, but one of my goals in the next 2 years is to qualify for the Boston Marathon.
Wow.
That's my next physical.
Yeah, that is amazing. If anybody can do it, it's a Texas 4000 rider, that's for sure. Our teammates on Zoom are looking good. Colin's really getting a workout in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Colin sent us his like Apple Watch thing, and he almost had a perfect month. Save like one day, which means like every single ring, every single day, he'd like exercised enough, stood enough times, burned enough calories for a whole month. Like I've never seen that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Like, he takes this very seriously.
It's amazing, yeah. Colin's one of our teammates who, like, despite our ride being indoors, has not stopped biking and has still channeled so much of his energy into the stationary training, which has been so awesome to see, and it definitely keeps us all motivated.
I know that obviously you guys train in groups and with your route and other folks on your team, but as part of this new pandemic world that we're living in, there's been some social distance sort of rules put in place, even for riding outdoors. But you all are in groups of, I think, 3 or 4 to ride, right? Has anybody done an outdoor ride with your ride group this month?
My roommate Shreya is also on the team. We're like lagging, so they're just out hearing us, I think. But yeah, my roommate Shreya is on the Rockies team, and so early in the summer, she's now living with her parents for a couple months, but early in the summer, I got to ride with her a couple times, and it was really fun to still be able to go do shoal, even if it was a lot less miles than we were used to, where we had left off around spring break. But I haven't had any other rides yet here in Austin because I was out of town, but excited to maybe do some more.
Yeah, just in time for the heat of summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a ride group with 3 other women, Kathy, Donna, and Malika, and it's been so nice to be able to safely ride with them outdoors. And for some reason, we like to pick the hottest points of the day to ride, which is, in the middle of Texas, in the middle of summer, gets upper 90s of humidity. But we always talk about how much we enjoy just getting to experience that together and be with each other safely and ride, because trainer riding is great, but also I'm a big fan of outdoor riding, so it always makes my week when we get to go ride with each other.
That's wonderful. We have a really interesting question in the chat for the 3 of you. Did you ever feel any sort of fear as you look toward the ride, fear of falling or breaking down or any other possibility? If not, I was feeling it for you. This is from Kim Wayland. But with all your collective positivity, I imagine you were prepared for whatever you might face. So Lindsay, maybe we can start with you. Any sort of fear that you felt as you were sort of looking towards the ride?
Yeah, I think there's obviously like a lot of fears that go into it. That, what if I didn't have I think a lot of Texas 4000 is mental strength. Obviously there's the physical strength side of it, but it's mentally taxing. And so I definitely have fears about 70 days. Would I be mentally strong enough to do that? Especially, carrying the weight of all these stories of my friends and my family. Lots of stories of heartbreak and loss. So I definitely have fears more related, I guess, to the emotional side. But that was also kind of the thing I was most excited for, was to kind of process my own family's cancer story. I mentioned it earlier in my dedications. My dad had stage 4 skin cancer. He's actually 4 years, not in remission, but 4 years of no evidence of disease. So definitely something to celebrate, but the treatment for that and the time my family spent with his fight against cancer was really difficult. So I was looking forward to processing those emotions. But yeah, definitely there's a lot of fears that go into being vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. And June is Cancer Survivors Month, so definitely amplifying stories of those who've fought and survived cancer. And it's wonderful that your dad is one of those.
Yes.
Sarah, you mentioned this earlier, but I had fears about biking in more severe weather conditions, because we're so lucky that we get to train in a sunny city like Austin, where most of the days our biggest problem might be reapplying sunscreen to stay, from getting burnt. So I hadn't had too many rides in heavy rain or with high winds or anything, and the few that I did, I really was nervous, feeling, the side-to-side winds kind of pushed me around. I wasn't super used to that, and I knew as soon as we get out onto the open fields in the Midwest that would be something we'd experience. So the weather was definitely something I was afraid of, to answer their question.
That is a very fair concern.
Yeah.
Catherine, what about you? Any fears you had leading up to the ride?
I think, there's always that small part of you that's scared that you're like, what happens if I'm someone who falls and breaks a bone? Because we can avoid it as much as we can and be super safe, but some things are just unavoidable, especially with weather and wet roads and winds. So I think there's always that small part of me that was like, oh my gosh, what do I do if X, Y, Z happens? Like, will I have to go home? Will I just be in the vans for a while? But I don't think it never stopped me, again, from going out on a ride it was like a small fear, but it wasn't ever something that would stop me, because in the end, if I'm being safe and doing what I can, be a safe rider for myself and my teammates, I felt very comforted by that. And then in preparing myself with all the measures I need to know. But again, like, there's some things like, I was also randomly scared about the humidity in the South, especially when we went through New Orleans. Even growing up in Austin my whole life, I still am not used to the super humid summers. They are really rough on me. So I've been kind of terrified about that, of biking in extreme humidity when we never really got the chance to do that. Mm-hmm. But, it never stopped us from keep going. So there's fears, but you just got to keep pushing through them.
Yeah. And I think, there's ways and strategies to mitigate any risks on the bike. And you all have talked about some of the ways that you learned those through skills camp and or skills clinics and training and all of that stuff. But something that really helped me, I had some of those same fears when I was training for the ride myself. And the more comfortable I got with my bike and the more time I spent training with my bike, the more I learned how to trust the machine I was working with. But also I really loved seeing all of the unique ways my teammates built relationships with their bikes, and stickers and names and, fun little ways to customize it. And so I'm just curious, did any of you customize your bike? Do your bikes have names? Like, tell me about your wonderful bikes.
My bike.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was briefly just going to say my bike did not get a name. And I was one of those people looking forward to plastering stickers all over it as we rode through cities. So mine is sadly quite bare. But I do have a headband here that's been there since our skills clinic, so that I knew which bike was mine. But that's about it.
It's awesome. David says, ride on, go Ozarks. You're riding in thunderstorms this morning. So true. Patience says, oh, my heart, T4K 2019 arrived in our hometown in a horrible storm, 100-mile-per-hour straight line wind. Oh, my goodness. And blinding. And I was petrified for them. They, on the other hand, were soggy and smiling. Amazing. Go, Catherine, go, from Carolyn. She says she loves you.
Yeah, my bike, I put this kind of teal handlebar tape on it, and when we first got our bikes, I was very excited to kind of put my own little touches on it. Just kind of like Claire said, so I would know which bike was mine. But it does have a name. Her name is Remy, which is short for it's just kind of a play on redemption. It's supposed to be kind of a nickname for that, because that was kind of my word for this for the whole 18 months, was redeeming. I think I spent a lot of time wondering okay, why my dad? Why did my dad get cancer? I think most people probably ask that question. You just kind of want to know the reason behind things. And so for a long time I wrestled with that, and then through Texas 4000 kind of decided to stop kind of looking for the reason, but make my own, kind of redeem that story through Texas 4000, and kind of conclude okay, my dad got cancer, and then I joined Texas 4000, and that spurred this big life decision and kind of gave me motivation to fight cancer myself. So yes, her name is Redemption.
That is really powerful, Lindsay. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Carolyn said, oh, and Lindsay, wow. Catherine, what about you? Do your bike have a name?
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird story. This is Chicky. Growing up, I was very shy and introverted. I still am, but I had 3 small stuffed yellow chickens, or stuffed animals that were yellow chickens, and I took them with me everywhere. And so everyone who's known me since I was very, very little know how big Chicky was in my life. Chicky did not leave my side until I was probably like 8 or 9. And my parents saved all my chickies. My chickies have been at my high school graduation and my college graduation because they were just that big in my life. They were my animal and just everything to me. And so when deciding on a name, I wanted something to show how much I've grown and something to take with me to Alaska that showed just how far my life's gone so far. So she became Chicky after that.
Mm-hmm. Chicky, what a great name. Yeah, so sweet. Love that. Love that. One of the coolest things I think about Texas 4000 is that you receive the bike as part of participating in the org, and you get to keep it afterwards, which is really cool, and I think enables all of us to have a lifelong relationship with cycling, which I love, and I still cycle and still use my bike from the ride to this day. Just got it cleaned, actually. Do y'all plan on riding after this, or have any sort of uses for your bikes that you want to take them out for? Claire, I see you kind of like leaning and smiling.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely plan on biking after this. I think there might be a short period of time where I want some closure and might not. But I've definitely fallen in love with cycling and see it as something that'll be a part of my life for a long time. So very, very grateful that we're able to have these bikes beyond our time with Texas 4000.
Yeah. I think my first question when they announced the virtual ride, because the deal is that, like, if you make it to Alaska, you keep your bike. And I was like, are you telling me you're going to keep my bike? Like, I've developed such a relationship with her, and, like, I don't know, I would just be so sad. So I'm super grateful for this gift that is, you know, the level of cycling that's come through this org. And I definitely plan, I'd like to start doing some distance bike rides just to kind of, for fitness reasons, but also to kind of keep my T4K journey going and keep spreading hope and keep trying to fight cancer and all that. So.
I think for what it's worth, you all have put in the more than the effort required to get to Alaska on your bike this summer, just in the last month alone, not even in the 70-day period. So keeping your bikes, I think, is well deserved at this point. For sure. Catherine, what about you? Are you going to keep riding?
Definitely. And like I said earlier, I never saw myself as a biker before all this, but there's just something so cathartic about going down a really big hill, really fast, that it's like you can't explain it until you've done it. But biking has been such a nice way for me to find myself and just discover something new that I really actually love. So I'm definitely going to just keep going after this and incorporate it into my life more.
That's awesome.
Ooh, I think I like cycling because, at least for me, it was a time to, like, you can do one thing, you know? I'm a big multitasker. I always attempt, I feel like I'm constantly thinking about way too many things and have a lot of stress. I guess it just comes with being a student. But anytime I'd be on the bike, or it was like a Saturday ride, it was like, you can't do anything else. Like, you have to focus on biking and your teammates and being safe and kind of simply getting from point A to point B. So kind of like Alpha said, it was really like cathartic. So I like doing that.
Exercise in that way is very meditative. Oh, Patience has a question for me. Sarah, what year did you ride and which route? I rode in 2013, Patience. It's been 7 years, and I rode on the Rockies route. Although this is my third time broadcasting or hosting a broadcast with you all during this month-long ride, and I haven't done a broadcast with Rockies riders yet. And I have to say, it's been great learning from Ozarks and Sierra riders. I definitely was interested in the Ozarks route, but in 2013, Ozarks was brand new, and the riders on that route were truly paving the way for the first time. And I thought, that's really interesting and great. I'm going to see how that goes for them and head over to Rockies. Fair.
Yeah. Sarah, what made you rush Rockies?
Sorry, what was that, Lindsay?
What made you rush Rockies?
It's interesting. I didn't really have an affinity for any route, and I'm curious to know from you all if you like if you really, Ozarks was the one that you wanted right from the beginning. But I kind of happened into Rockies because I applied to be a ride director. And when I got that position, I was kind of like the most flexible of the other ride directors. And I ended up on Rockies, and it was perfect because I ended up developing a real passion for camping and being out in nature. And Lindsay, you were talking about how when you're riding, you have to focus on one thing. And that's been a really powerful, like almost meditative experience for me, like learning to get through mental blocks and using exercise as a modality for doing that. So Tex 4000 has given me a lot, but definitely my love for camping and being outside and cycling is a really big one that's still very important to me this day.
That's awesome.
I think David had a comment for us in the chat as well. He's talking about our bikes. He said, you'll keep them forever. Maybe we can pan over to our Zoom riders and see Austin's bike, but I guess the bike hanging over Austin's shoulder in the garage is the 10-speed that he rode from Salt Lake City to Jackson Hole almost 40 years ago. Special memories tied up in that machine. That is amazing. And that is why I still have my Tex 4000 bike and take good care of it and like to take it out because it's awesome to have that thing and to know the memories behind it. Our riders on Zoom.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying our riders on Zoom are looking great. What was your question?
I was just going to say, to answer your question about route preferences and if we wanted to be on Ozarks, it was always something. Ozarks was one that I even from the new rider picnic when we first found out we were on P4K. There was something special about Ozarks. Might be because I'm from the Midwest, and so I was excited to be in that region of the country. But just hearing about how the Cancer Belt is so disproportionately affected by cancer was something that really inspired me. And all the routes are mission focused in their own ways. But for me, going through all the cities that we were supposed to go through and connecting with the centers that we ran out to was something I really looked forward to that I thought would help me stay motivated and driven every day on the bike. So I don't know, Ozarks has a special place in my heart and was something I was looking forward to being a part of since we first joined. So diehard Ozark over here.
I love it. Do you think that you'll plan any overnight rides similar to Austin's dad maybe at some point in your life?
I hope to. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know when I'll have the time for something like this again, but I definitely don't want to rule it out.
That's awesome.
I have a few in the works, so that's definitely going to be something that I do.
Tell us about them. Where are you going?
Well, I'm hoping to bike through some of the national parks, kind of near where Rockies or Sierra would have been. Here's Rockies. And then my mom, I think I mentioned before, my mom had biked through Ireland one summer, and so I have plans to try to fly my bike out and spend some time biking, maybe across a different country.
That's amazing. Sounds incredible. And Lindsay, what drove you? Did you pick Ozarks? And what led you to it?
Well, yes, I have a couple friends who had done Texas 4000 before me, and most of them were on Ozarks. So I'd heard a lot about that route. And I think so. I think at first I was kind of like, I'm going to do my own thing. I want to be different. So tried to find it. But then when it came time to actually preference routes, I knew I didn't want to do Rockies because I'd lived in Colorado. So I kind of wanted to do something different. And then we took a lot of family along the Ozarks route. And getting to go through Houston, go to MD Anderson where my dad was treated, and then up into Chicago, and where I spent several summers interning in Minneapolis where my brother lives. When it came down to it, Ozarks was definitely the right choice and the right route for me. And I love it. So mission focused, like Claire was talking about.
Yeah. So special that you would, be able to go visit the place where your dad was treated too. We have another comment from Kim. She says that she has to tell us that this team has inspired her to buy a bike recently, although she says she's significantly behind y'all. She says, I get out and ride several times a week, even for a short distance, and I think about your mission and dedication, and I'm all the more impressed and joyous about your collective efforts. Thank you so much, Kim.
That's amazing.
That's awesome, Kim.
That's awesome.
So awesome. The power that the 2020 team has had on the community that, I think when you started this, that you never even knew you would reach. So cool. Catherine, what about you? Did you pick Ozarks and why?
So I'm really indecisive when it comes to decisions that affect myself. So I went back and forth on it for a long time because I really think like each route has its own thing that makes it so special, and I was just honored to be on anything. I really did not have a preference at all, but there's just something subconsciously drawing me towards Ozarks. I don't even know if I could name it. I just felt like that was where I belonged, even if that's not where I ended up. And so I was applying for a chair position, and they asked me if I had a preference because it was a route-specific chair position. And I just told them Ozarks was my top, but anywhere they put me, I feel like would work best. And I ended up at Ozarks, and I'm so happy for it. It ended up being exactly where I needed to be.
Yeah. It's funny how things work out like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I know that we are at the end of this hour-long workout. Everybody on Zoom and the three of you look awesome, but I'm sure you're tired at this point. Thank you so much for spending the morning with me. I had a great time getting to know you all just a little bit better. Are you guys have a busy day today?
Kind of. Got a couple of meetings where we have a program tomorrow to give. So we're going to be prepping for that, and we have an event on Thursday. So just some meetings with the programs team, but I might want to get back in bed after this because I love rain.
Yeah.
I think,
I was going to try to go on a picnic, but
yeah, the rain is definitely getting in the way. But if you love rain and you guys have already done a workout this morning, you've earned a nap at this point, right?
yeah.
Well, thank you again. And I want to remind everyone who joined us this morning on our live stream that you can make a ride dedication or donate at any time at texas4000.org. You can come back tomorrow and meet more riders for ride dedications and cycling starting at 8 p.m. And you can donate to Texas 4000 or purchase Texas 4000 merch, 2020 cycling team jerseys, and other t-shirts and merchandise, all to help support the fight against cancer at texas4000.org, available anytime. We want to thank again our presenting sponsor, Abbott, and to all of our sponsors for the 2020 summer ride. Thank you all for joining us this morning on a very stormy morning. Thank you, Claire, Lindsay, and Catherine. I really enjoyed getting to know you all, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your summer ride. Almost there.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Sarah.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.